So I did my Genius Hour project on gender norms and how they have affected society generationally. So my driving questions were, did the prevalence of gender stereotypes / norms decrease over generations, and why could this happen, and how much did they change? So my main goal was to really dive into why they changed, or how much the change was. So gender is basically the idea of being male or female, boy, girl, based on a cultural aspect or how you identify. It's different from biological sex from the sense that it's when you're born, and it's what you're assigned at birth. So that's really the male and female sex characteristics. And now there are a huge scale of genders that people can identify with. I mean, we have girl, boy, and then we have a bunch of things in between, and there's gender fluid, non-binary, so there's a lot of different genders people can identify with. So just an overview of gender norms. They are considered a social role encompassing a range of behaviors and attitudes that are accepted or considered appropriate or desirable for people based on their actual or perceived sex or gender. So what a male is supposed to do, which would be accepted by society, and what a female is supposed to do, which would be accepted by society. So the basic gender norms or gender stereotypes throughout society is the basic ones from childhood. So when a baby girl is born, usually they get showered in pink or sometimes yellow, and a boy is usually blue or gray, or just dark colors, very bleak. So like girl colors, boy colors, that's kind of been a notion for a long time. And then also with sports, so girls usually play things like tennis, or they sew, or they act, or they do girly things, again, gender norm, gender stereotype, as rather than the man doing more physical contact sports, more girthy sports, like football, wrestling, baseball, things of that nature. And then the roles later in life is a big thing in gender norms and gender stereotypes. So the woman is usually told they should be at home with the kids, cooking, doing a minimal, like 3 days a week part-time job, teaching, maybe a slight secretary job. And this is like the basics. So like this is definitely not how it is now. Women do all sorts of jobs, and same with men. Men's role is mainly they do like the hard CEO jobs, or they do their policemen, firefighters, anything that's kind of at an upper status of that nature. But now, as I kind of mentioned, there's a new age, which these roles are broken, and a lot of women and men have been interchanging jobs, and the men can stay home with the kids, and the women can go out and work. It's a very mixed dynamic now. So the basic generations are the baby boomers, which is 54 to 74 years old. So that would be like my grandparents would fit in that category. And then Generation X, which is 39 to 53, and that would be my parents. And then millennials, 24 to 38. And then my generation, which is Generation Z, 3 to 23, based on the year. So for my survey, I wanted to conduct something that kind of just encompassed how each generation views, and see if there's a natural trend involved, or if it was kind of scattered across the board. So this is the survey I conducted. So basically the first question was, what's your age? And then all the generations were listed, except for I took the Generation Z and I did 15 to 23, because the people that filled that category out were all 15 and up. And then I had gender, and I had another category just in case, you never know. And then I said, do you know what gender norms are, just to get kind of a basis of how competent these people were with this material, and how well they could understand the whole concept. And then I put a scale of how well they know, and then I did a check, as many apply, to see where people see gender norms the most, and I included workplace, school, daily life, or media, so like movies, TV shows, news, things of that nature. Then I said, at which age in your life did you most see gender normativities occur? So like, when was it really like stuck to you that if you're a boy you like one thing, if you're a girl you like another thing, or you kind of see that dynamic placed in life. And I said, to what degree were these gender norms put in action, or how much did you notice them throughout your life? So how much did they really affect your way of life, or how much did you really see, oh, that's a gender norm, I need to break that, or again, things of that nature. So if I go back to the presentation, so this was, the first thing was, what was your age? So I took 4 people from each category, so that's why it's split evenly, 25% in each. And the genders were split in half. I made sure to kind of get an equal thing, besides there were no others. And then most people said they somewhat knew what gender norms were, so they had like a basic level knowledge. And 1 person said no, and then 31.3% said yes. So it's like a third. My dog is trying to get in. Okay. So how much would you say you know about gender norms? A majority of people said 2 or 3, so again, they had like a basic to like higher moderate level of understanding. 1 person said 5, and then 3 people said 4. So again, and there only 1 person said 1. So basically, majority of people know the basics of what gender norms and stereotypes are. So for the where do you see gender norms the most? The workplace 1, and then media, and then daily life and school. Because in school it's kind of like everyone does the same thing. Like no one's really challenged in like a gender way, or like oh, girls can only do this. I mean, there's a girls and boys team, but I mean, yeah. And workplace is definitely where I think that people would see the majority, because some people say that women are paid less, or are seen as lower intelligence-wise and work ethic-wise. And then at which age in your life did you most see gender normativities occur? It was anywhere between 10 and 24. The majority was at 16 or like 22, which makes a whole lot of sense, because at 16 you're kind of like figuring out what you want to do, so it kind of like pushes you one way or the other, and you can kind of see how girls act and boys act in like throughout their daily life, or like in the hallways or what have you. And then 22 I thought again was like really what I would say they would be mainly displayed, because that's where you're choosing careers. So that's where you're like, okay, I'm going out of college, what career do I choose? So I guess women again can go one way, men can go the other way. And then for the to which degree did these norms be put into action in your life? 6 people said 2. So majority of people said I didn't really notice at all, but those numbers actually came from my generation and then the millennial generation, which makes a whole lot of sense. And the 3 people said 1, which I guess is good, and then 3 people said 5, which all of those people were from my grandparents' generation, so the baby boomers, that one. Those responses were all from that generation. So my results, numbers were pretty across the board. There wasn't a set like decline or a set generation following one single path of answering the questions. And if you see like the breakdown of women to men, a lot more women said that they notice it more, which would make a lot of sense because women were like an oppressed group for a while, a very long time. And majority of people chose somewhat, so again, majority of people have like a basic knowledge. And it's really not effective in most lives, especially not today. And for better testing, I would have done like more people, probably more specific questions applying to gender norms and gender stereotypes. And I wish I could have gotten more others because I got 0 others. And I feel like getting a perspective from someone who isn't set male or female in their mind would really increase the true way gender norms are kind of set in society, because they don't fit in a category that's set. So that would really help just make the study more valuable. So in conclusion, not as much as a decline as I expected. It's, again, more scattered across the board. It kind of, I think, depends on the person and gender you are, because most men don't really notice, because I guess they're kind of like above it, if that makes sense. It's fine. And gender norms are still prevalent, but the good part is that for our society, and especially my generation and the millennials, they're all going away. I mean, now we have LGBTQ communities rising up. We have a lot of, as I said, different genders rising up about how the social aspect of gender isn't okay, and how we're forcing people to kind of go one way or the other isn't okay. So we're breaking that. I mean, half the people aren't really male or female anymore. They're non-binary, gender fluid, demi-boy, demi-girl, whatever they want to be, they are. So it's really great. So yeah, thank you for watching.